Hi team, welcome back to our Introduction to American History Anchor Fact series of printables and mini lessons. In most cases, what we have to learn about in history are important events, and such events always have a date we can pin on them. Today's lesson is a special case, however, because it's about a movement, which doesn't really have a date we can pin on it. It's a movement filled with important people and ideas, without whom America would not have been able to make a major advance in freedom, and would not be the country that it is today. The people we are going to talk about are known as abolitionists, and the movement that they championed is called abolitionism. Both of these words come from the same root, abolition. To abolish something means to bring it to an end, to stop it. In our mini lessons and printables up until now, we focused on the fact that America was declared when the Founding Fathers declared America's independence from Great Britain, adopted a constitution to secure the liberty they had fought for, and created a Bill of Rights to make sure that the federal government would be prevented from taking away people's rights. The problem that abolitionists saw in all of this is that in America, like every other part of the world, there were people who were not free. In America, this meant people who had been taken from Africa by Europeans and who were slaves. How could this be? The abolitionists knew the answer. They knew that slavery was normal all around the world. Until the Declaration of Independence was created, there had never been a country in the history of the world that declared that individuals have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Slavery was everywhere. It had been normal in ancient times. The Bible has many stories about slaves and never says that slavery should be abolished. It was normal in medieval times. Most people in Europe were serfs, which meant that they were people who lived on land they did not own and produced food which they didn't own either. They were basically slaves. Even now, according to Anti-Slavery International and the United Nations, about 50 million people still live in slavery today. But the abolitionists would not accept that excuse. Beginning with William Lloyd Garrison, who started a newspaper called The Liberator, abolitionists challenged Americans to understand that slavery is wrong. When something is considered normal, it is very difficult to convince people it is wrong. Frederick Douglass, an escaped slave, who was probably the greatest of the abolitionists, told Americans in a famous speech, "What to the slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim." This bothered people in the northern states more and more because slavery had been abolished in their states. They did not want to see slavery continue in the southern states. But what could be done? Harriet Tubman was one of the heroes of that time, helping slaves to escape the South by the path known as the Underground Railroad. Another, Harriet Beecher Stowe, wrote the novel Uncle Tom's Cabin to show people what the real life of enslaved people was like. They became angry. And there was a famous case of a slave named Dred Scott, who was taken from the South into the North, where slavery was illegal. Scott sued for his freedom, but the United States Supreme Court said that Scott was not a person who could sue his owners or the American government. As terrible as that sounds, the court was probably right as far as the law goes, but obviously it was wrong as far as right and wrong goes. This is the kind of things that Americans had to end. As we will see in the next lesson, this created such a powerful division in America that it led to the Civil War. See you next time.